Cyber attacks are carried out every half minute in the world. This means that cybercrime is committed on average more than 2,000 times per day. Cyber attacks are becoming more intelligent, dangerous, and have no geographical boundaries. That is why, more than ever, it is necessary to consolidate the efforts of key representatives in the field of cybersecurity for a technically and legally sophisticated response. Today we are pleased to welcome you to the International Forum on Cybersecurity. More than 70 cybersecurity experts from more than 20 countries are present in this hall. The purpose of this initiative is to create a platform for active dialogue and interaction of a wide range of national and international experts in the field of cybersecurity, and also to discuss issues of effective cooperation and investigation of cybercrimes and the exchange of best practices in this area.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Madam Prosecutor General of Ukraine, Irina Venediktova.
Good morning, everyone. I don't know how are you, but I liked this video very much. But actually, we have not 70. We have now more than 80 participants in our cyber forum. Dear guests, I'm glad to welcome you all at the International Cybersecurity Forum that has been initiated by the Prosecutor General's Office in order to create a platform for an active dialogue and interactions to overcome challenges of the digital world. This event has initiated over 80 experts from over 20 countries of the world. I am sure that in the next 2 days we will share the best practices in this field and will work out joint solutions to counteract cybercrimes and efficiently investigate them. It's impossible to effectively counteract and conduct investigations into crimes of such category on a global scale without coordination of the actions between the competent bodies and international cooperation during criminal proceedings. We have established a new cyber specialization for public prosecutors at the Prosecutor General's Office and have created a respective unit. Also, our Department for International Legal Cooperation actively cooperates with foreign colleagues. The Prosecutor General's Office, as the central authority for international cooperation in criminal proceedings at the stage of pretrial investigations, is constantly taking measures for the higher quality execution of requests for international legal assistance of the competent bodies of foreign states in cases related to translational crimes that concern the activity of international criminal hacking cyber groups which caused substantial pecuniary damages to the state and private interests. During 2020, we received 60 requests from the competent authorities of the United States of America, the Federal Republic of Germany, France, Switzerland, the Netherlands, Austria, South Korea, Poland, and other countries to investigate into cybercrimes. In the first 10 months of this year, the Prosecutor General's office received more than 70 such requests. Evidence of the effectiveness of such cooperations in our large-scale and successful joint international special operations to expose dangerous cyber groups. Last year, based on the materials on the Public Prosecutor General's Office of Bamberg of the Federal Republic of Germany, our own criminal proceedings with regard to an international fraudulent scheme and legalization lowering of property obtained by criminal means were initiated. Actually, this Monday we saw it, I see even by TV, how two very high expensive cars flight out of Ukraine to the Germany. And we know these cars was Lamborghini and Rolls-Royce. The sum of costs of these cars was more than 1 million euro, and it was the first time in the history of our international cooperations when we really can't do such things. Again, to come back to this operation, the fraudulent scam was to misappropriate victims' funds under the guise of attracting investment through specially created web resources that promised profits from online transaction of purchase and sale of various financial products. The software interface of the website showed investors a fictitious increase in return on investment by 100 times and over. Most of the victims are citizens of Germany, Austria, and other European countries. Both countries are still conducting a wide-range investigations in the international crime, the participants of which cost millions in damage to the citizens of the European Union. Most of the persons involved in these crimes have already been identified and are under investigations in Ukraine and in Germany. During the pretrial investigations in Ukraine, movable and immovable property of suspects and other persons with estimated value of about 50 million euro have been seized. In addition, recently the Prosecutor General's Office, upon the request for legal assistance in this case, has transferred these two elite classes card about which I spoke, amounting to more than 1 million euros to the competent authority of the Federal Republic of Germany. Also, an example of effective cooperation with foreign colleagues is the international special operation Emotet, during which the unlawful activity of the cyber group has been stopped. In January-March 2021, we ensured the execution of requests of the competent authorities of the United States of America and the Federal Republic of Germany for international legal assistance in the criminal case concerning to activities of a group of criminal hackers involving citizens of Ukraine, which, using the most widespread malicious software, has caused total damages to the individual and legal entities estimated at 2.5 billion USD dollars. It has been established that since 2014, the international cyber group of criminal hackers using malicious software Emotet, Frauder, Geoda, and also SWOT Banker, designed to steal passwords, logins, payment data, etc., has carried out mass interventions in the work of the servers of private and government agencies of the United Kingdom, the Federal Republic of Germany, the Republic of Austria, the Swiss Confederation, and the United States of America. During execution of requests from foreign states, the competent authorities of Ukraine, in the presence of representatives of the United States of America and the Federal Republic of Germany, conducted 22 searches at the places of residence of the persons concerned, their vehicles, and the place of residence of the person concerned, other locations of server hardware. As a result, the following instruments and means of criminal activities were seized: server hardware, computers, laptops, mobile phones, data storage devices, as well as valuable obtained as a result of such activities, funds, as well as gold and silver ingots. In that course of the proceedings, information was obtained on the administration of the servers from which the malicious software was distributed, and the full range of persons involved in the said illegal activity was established. Simultaneously, with the law enforcement bodies of Ukraine, representatives of the competent authorities of the Federal Republic of Germany, the Kingdom of the Netherlands, the Republic of Lithuania, Canada, the French Republic, the Kingdom of Sweden, conducting investigative measures of these countries, which resulted in the seizure of more than 90 servers. In particular, in Kingdom of the Netherlands, information backup servers, which had a large capacity and significant bandwidth of a terabyte traffic, were seized from attackers. In the course of another successful operation called Egregor, in January-March 2021, the Prosecutor General's Office provided for execution of requests from the competent authorities of the United States of America and French Republic for international legal assistance in criminal cases and activities of cyber groups of hackers involved of citizens of Ukraine. It has been established in the course of the execution that started from September 2020, criminals infected computers in offices of various foreign companies with new ransomware Egregor. By using it, members of the criminal group stole personal data of users, namely passwords, logins, and payment data, carried out mass interference with the work of servers of the US and European countries. Hackers extorted a significant amounts of money of non-disclosure of stolen confidential data and decryption of affected computer networks. According to preliminary data, about 150 foreign companies were affected by the virus. Damages for the group's activities amount to the USD 80 million. Also within the framework of international cooperation during criminal proceedings, law enforcement offices of Ukraine, the United States of America, and the Republic of Korea stopped the activities of Ukrainian citizens who carried out attacks with the encryption virus CLOP on servers of American and Korean companies, which led to data encryptions. Damages caused by these illegal actions amount to more than 500 million US dollars. We spoke about this during this day. I hope that you've heard about this realization. In particular, in 2019, such cyber attacks were carried out on 4 Korean companies, as a result of which internal servers and personal computers were blocked. For unlocking the data, the attackers received 65 bitcoins on crypto accounts. Law enforcement officers from different countries, due to joint efforts, managed to intercept to remote management server, get access to administrator account and obtain the password to the remote management server. This summer, as a part of its own Ukrainian criminal proceedings and in response to requests for international legal assistance, with the participations of representatives of the competent authorities of the United States of America and Republic of Korea, searches were conducted at 24 places of residence and locations of computer equipment, as well as vehicles and of the 6 subjects of investigation. Also, during September last year, October this year, the Prosecutor General's Office organized execution of a number of requests from the competent authorities of the Kingdom of Netherlands and the United States of America in criminal cases concerning the activities of the cyber group of hacker criminals using malware Locker Goga and Megacortex. By using this ransomware, sometimes criminals were extorting ransoms for up to $1 million US for decrypting data stored on the computers of the affected companies. Such examples we have now, and I think that we can speak that last year of our activities in this sphere is real and constructive and effective, and we try to demonstrate our international partner that we are absolutely competitive, not only in the cyber system and understanding and in IT sphere, but we are competitive in our prosecutions, in our investigations, and we would be real, very good partner. In Ukrainian, надійний партнер. I think it's very important to be such a good partner. Ukrainian IT professionals are respected and in demand in the international market, but Ukraine has now become one of the world's cybercrime hubs. Our goal is that new technologies change lives for the better, rather than provide great opportunities for abuse, delinquency, and fraud. I hope that our International Cybersecurity Forum and the action platform created by us here will allow us to focus the synergy of our efforts to make the digital world safer. I wish all participants fruitful work, and I am convinced that its results will not take long. Thank you very much. All of us have good, constructive, and really funny day. You saw this video, and I hope we all enjoy these 2 days of Cyber Forum. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Prosecutor General. Please welcome Deputy Head of European Union Advisory Mission to Ukraine, Frederick Veslau.
Dear Prosecutor General, dear distinguished guests, experts, it's really a great pleasure for me to be speaking at the opening of this very, very important event on behalf of the European Union Advisory Mission. This forum, this International Forum on Cybersecurity, is really, in our view, extremely important, and I think the Prosecutor General set out really well the challenges that we all face, and also the very important role that Ukraine plays in all of this, and really I think the purpose of this event is to make sure that we build a network together where Ukraine is really a very strong partner here. I think we're all very aware that the world is rapidly digitalizing. This opens incredible opportunities, of course, but also very big, new and urgent challenges. I think this is particularly true in the field of law enforcement. Cybercrime has been increasing dramatically in recent years. The use of technology has made it much easier for criminal organizations to operate more effectively and with more impunity. According to the most recent EU strategy to tackle organized crime report, more than 80% of crime today has a digital component. However, only a small percentage of cybercrimes are reported, and even less result in conviction. The embrace by organized crime of digitalization is becoming more advanced and more sophisticated. It targets all levels of society, from the individual to the large multi-billion euro company. And I don't need to tell the audience in this room the vast array of different methods that's used, from ransomware to payment and investment fraud, as well as various forms of human exploitation. Cybercrime is also, of course, the nexus where organized crime and malicious state actors meet. The criminal market has fast adapted to this postmodern world. The underworld's modus operandi has shifted in the past few decades, and international crime and technology are the key drivers. In recent years, especially during the pandemic, of course, the world has moved even further into the digital age. It's become clear to all of us that law enforcement agencies must really embrace digitalization in order to effectively combat organized crime. To combat organized cybercrime and to keep pace with the fast developing technologies used by criminals, law enforcement authorities must adapt and must do so quickly. We must develop and strengthen techniques and tools for conducting digital investigations and ensure robust evidence gathering. Effective international cooperation for cross-border investigation is also essential. And again, I think this sort of an event is really important to further this type of international cooperation and make sure that Ukraine plays its full role in this. It's crucial today for law enforcement and the judiciary to become fit for purpose in the digital age. This holds true for authorities in Ukraine as well as in the European Union, of course. EUAM, we are an advisory mission. We've been working in Ukraine since 2014. We provide strategic advice to our Ukrainian partners, as well as training, mentoring, and equipment. And in this field, in this very important field, we're also helping our Ukrainian partners build operational and analytical capacity to really fight cybercrime, both in terms of prevention and also investigation. We also work together with other international partners. An example of this is our cooperation with the US Bureau of International Narcotics and Law Enforcement Affairs, where we work to increase digital investigative capacities and capabilities with our Ukrainian law enforcement partners. We're also, of course, very pleased to work with the Prosecutor General's Office, as well as the Ministry of Internal Affairs and also the Ministry of Digital Transformation. For us, digital transformation and innovation is one of our key priorities in the coming years. So let me conclude by, again, congratulating the Prosecutor General for taking this very important initiative. I think these 2 days will provide an excellent opportunity to really strengthen this network and really strengthen this type of dialogue, because I think the future to all of us is clear. This is an increasingly important area of work where we really need to cooperate. Cybercrime knows no boundaries. Unfortunately, our judiciary, our judicial systems, our jurisdictions and legal systems do. So this is why we really need to increase cooperation between ourselves. So let me conclude by wishing you all a very productive meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you for such brilliant and inspiring speeches. So we had the introduction, and ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to our forum. My name is Igor Furman. I'll be moderating today's event. And first of all, we have our great expert and colleague from Japan. So can we have the picture?
Показати на екрані.
So can we bring Mr. Satoshi Shimizu, Representing Director of Cybercrime Investigation Knowledge Forum, Trend Micro Corporate Officer, Director of Japan Cybercrimes Control Center, and the member of Interpol Expert Group. Mr. Satoshi, you with us?
Пане Сатоші, ви з нами?
Hello, everyone, or good morning, everyone. My name is Satoshi Shimizu. Thank you for your introduction. And as introduced, I'm connecting from Japan, and then this is also the good sign that no border, and then everywhere we can connect each other, and then that is very much important to combat against cybercrime. So I'm going to discuss about the investigation capability, and because the investigation has some challenges. So as introduced, I have a different role, and such as a corporate CISO to make sure that the corporate cybersecurity, and also I'm representing some third-party organization to have the collaboration between the private sector and the law enforcement. Today, I'm going to discuss 4 topics. The first one is the challenges in the cybercrime investigation. Why it is challenging? It is because cybercrime starts with some guys just spreading the malware, so that most of the cybercrime incident looks like malware infection, but it could not be seen as the crime victimized crime cases. What do I mean? It links to more than IT matter if it is a case of just a malware infection, but forgetting about this is a crime. So that's a very important point, that why CSAT is still not having the collaboration model involving the law enforcement during the cybercrime investigation. And also because of the investigator has very limited resources and then too many responsibility and different stakeholders and a conflicting object. But most importantly, I think why it is challenging is because, because artifact or the evidence found at the crime scene is only a piece of evidence, and then very difficult to see entire picture, whole story, what's going on in our organization. That's a challenging part. And then this is why the professional of the investigation, which is the law enforcement, must be involved at the beginning. Now, I'm going to discuss about the characteristics of the cybercrime because it is a key differentiator from the physical crime. The first characteristic is the no time or geographical restrictions, or maybe I can say no border. So in the physical crime, of course, the criminal need to be be present at the crime scene, and then this will conclude that some of the artifact can be left at the crime scene. But because of the cyberspace, without any nation border, at anywhere I can do my job to attack any countries or any regions, etc. The second characteristics is the one too many attacks, because if you're going to plan to do the fraud, a scam case, before you need to send an email, send a mail to the target. But right now, of course, the cyberspace enables to send the email, phishing or something, to a lot of people, tons of people. And that's another thing. So in one crime cases, it is very various, it could be very various victims involved. That makes investigation much difficult. And then third and fourth characteristics is the same, because as I mentioned, the criminal no longer need to go to the crime scene to do the crime, so that the artifact is very rarely left, or is even some evidence found, but it is mostly the digital evidence, which means that the criminal can even delete or eliminate or even override the evidence to cheat the investigator. And then based on these characteristics, attribution investigation is way difficult, because there are no physical evidence such as a DNA or blood or a foot stamp or fingerprint. There are no such evidence which can be easily linked to the attribution. But most investigators need to dig into such a digital evidence and then surely link to the artifact. Attribution information. That makes investigation very difficult. And then we need to also think about what is the threat. Because as I mentioned before, or even it happens back in 2005 to 2010, I think still the cyber criminal is at the testing stages, which means that the criminals create a lot of different type of malware and then deployed. Sometimes the rootkit together and then to eliminate. They are doing the test. But very curiously, most after the incident investigation, there are no single sign of the real effect or objective of the crime. What is the objective or the intent of the criminal? It was very difficult at the time. But time goes by and time went by, and then going to the 2010 decades, and then the real objective can be seen at the victim's side. And the most typically it is the information theft. And then most likely the IP theft. IP is intellectual property theft, is one of the major effect. And then also to get along with the digital transformation in the business side, business interruption, market interruption, and even the human safety is now being suffered. I put some typical case in the globe, such as DDoS in Arabic country, or the recent extortion by ransomware, Maze, or or the British National Health Services got compromised and market brand defacement has happened, etc. And then you guys in Ukraine folks also pretty much got suffered by the the grid system got compromised. And then also in US, Duke ransomware hit in hospital services. And then also this kind of ransomware hit Japanese hospital as well. That stops any medical operations. That is also start to kill the people. So the digital crime is no longer stay inside the cyberspace, but it goes affecting to the physical life as well. I think most of you still remember that you could see in the TV screen when the colonial pipeline in the US got hit, and then no gasoline in around the US continent, and then a lot of cars waiting for the gas station, waiting at the gas station. Why this happened? I think one of the major things that why the cyber war looks like that is because of the very rapid evolution of the cyber criminals. Usually, if we talk about the cybercrime, maybe the hacker will be in the middle of your imagine, but it is no longer like that. Just like this. All of those skilled resources got connected on the dark web, and then dark side market, and then the real intent will coming from the right hand side, such as an activist or even the nation state, or sometimes from the competitor to subscribe those resources to do the cybercrime. So cybercrime is no more. The malware writer is to set up and then do everything. It's no longer such. The cyber criminal business model no longer looks like that. So we do need to understand the evolution of the criminal. And one case is very typically shown in the recent ransomware, which is well-organized distributed model. Just like the image on the right-hand side, the ransom operator to distribute the weapon and even the access. They bought the access account from the access brokers through dark web, and then to pass it to the ransom affiliators. And affiliators can easily access to the victim's network because access broker already provide an access. And then they provide, they land the ransomware, and then easily victim can be ransomed. But most importantly, understanding such a business model looks like can convert into this kind of framework, starting from who's the actors, and then to take action, automated or human operated, or how do I protect? It is an opportunity. It is via phishing or waterfalls, or access broker provide my access stolen by the vulnerability of the VPN software, etc. or sometimes from supply chain, etc. I think you need to understand this kind of chain of the actions, and from actor to the response by the victims. And now I'm going to discuss more about the overview of the cybercrime investigation. As I mentioned, because of the impression-wise of the malware infection is a cybercrime, it's a long perception because malware is just a tool to pursue the objective, real objective of the cyber criminal. The objective could be money-driven or espionage purpose or disruption purposes, etc. So the cybercrime investigation really need to understand why it happened and by who. Otherwise, also the victimized company can recover from the incident, but as I mentioned, access brokers still reuse your access account to have the second or third or fourth sequence of the attacks, etc., etc. And also, most importantly, the difficulty in investigation is from the piece of the artifact can be found on your crime scene. And then sometimes, okay, so the SOC member or CSAT can see a piece of information, maybe from the security product alert or from the suspicious behavior in the network, etc. But you need to have the hypothesis, what is really happened, and then you need to confirm your hypothesis is really true or not, so that just like the chart is shown, you need to have a lot of good intelligence to tell you what is really happening. From the hash value to the entire picture, you need to check a lot of external intelligence as well as internal intelligence, because one example is showing you that the technical artifact can easily cheat you guys. The CSAT found a script that is coin and cryptocurrency mining type of script. And then this was detected by the security product as a coin miner, so that CSAT member can be easily cheated. Oh, this is about coin mining purpose. But inside this script, the second opinion, and then need the second opinion, and the more sophisticated expert investigator comes in and then check the script and found that, oh, this is a false flag. Coin mining is not the purpose, but inside the script, there is credential theft purposes inside. So this is a very good example that technical finding can be easily cheated, and then this goes to the false flag. So to avoid you investigator be cheated, you need to have a very good intelligence again. Okay. And you also need to understand that there are types of information during your investigation stages. The first information are the artifacts. Not sure those findings really link to this case or on the past case. So many information you will see. So you need to investigate one by one, but among such artifacts, you need to find a clue to figure out what's really happening. And then among such clue, you need to compose the evidence that is valid at the court as well to make a final resolution. Then also you need to consider the three major space of the cyber evidence. The first one is, of course, from the crime scene, which is a network, your network, or your computer, or your log. But you also need to look into the external spaces to figure out the evidence. For example, the evidence can be seen in intelligence, open source, or even in the dark web. And nowadays, it is more cloud-based computing is now linked to the business process, so that and investigate in the cloud space could be also the external or the neutral spaces. So you cannot forget about the space that you need to take a look at. And then also why I said that the collaboration with the law enforcement is important is because a lot of evidence can be seen from the criminal scene, not just criminals' laptop, mobile, etc., but sometimes very large type of cybercrime infrastructure, such as ransomware as a services, as I shown in several slides ago, and and then also the money can be money laundering is very quickly done because of the cryptocurrency, so that you need to pursue the blockchain as well. And of course, don't forget about the bank account investigation, which are not available by the victim or the private sector. But without investigating those criminal types of the evidence, you cannot figure out what was really happened. That's an important point, that why you need to do the collaborative investigation with law enforcement. But if you are running, if your company has a lot of employees and then tons of computers, servers, or mobile devices, how to collect the evidence? It's very tough. So you also need to understand that the triage model of the data collection, which start with the sweep discovery and automated approaches to collect the evidence, and then use correlation database models such as SIEM. And then also you need to do the semi-automated forensics, which is based on the metadata oriented approaches. And then finally, if you have if you narrow down the scope of the target machines, you need to do the full forensic. You can do it. So three step is effective approaches, because most of the time you cannot have the 100 forensic engineer or more. So only 2, 3, 4, very few people need to do the data collection, so that you need to have the effective approaches. I just summarized a point of the consideration when determining the scope of the crime. What is the scope of the crime? Sometimes during the crime case investigation, the initial findings will cheat you to the long perception. So after investigation has been done one by one, the scope can be also changed. Initially, you see this is a targeted attack, but if you check with an intelligence and then found that a similar industry corporation has been also being targeted. So it is not just an APT type of attack, but most of the similar industry group has been targeted. So that I think the artifact information can be exchanged among certain victims, so that more clear story can be seen across by such an evidence, not evidence, artifact exchanges. And then, as I mentioned already, it starts from the malware infection, so that it looks like an IT matter, but it's not. It's a crime. And then the crime, you need to understand why I why I am the victim. And the why means that what is your strengths in your industry, what the competitive advantage in your market. There's so many things you need to think about why I am victimized, etc. And then I also mentioned about false flag. And recently, a lot of false flag type of attacks can be seen. The most major one is back in 2013 in a US bank. So many machines, PCs got infected, but it cannot be concluded what really happened. And then what really happened was to set up not the malware, but the automatic screen capture in a currency exchanging team, so that some of the information can be stolen from the desktop for effective money exchanges in Europe. Because of the time gap between US and Europe. So it's a very big false flag. The criminal really distributed an malware so that the victim of this bank got into the panic mode and then just focus on the cleanup of the malware. But they forget to find out what was the real intent of the criminal. Now, finally, I'm going to introduce the approaches to build up the capability building. This is an experience from my experience when we provide the malware training through the Interpol to the law enforcement. And there are some conversation about the training. I asked the question, hey, do you think this malware training is really effective to support your capability? And then the trainee's answer was no, because I don't know if I can, okay, I can do the malware analysis from now on, but it is just a piece of the investigation. Malware analysis is not the whole thing. Yes, and then this is findings that I need to provide structured approaches, which is a guidebook, which looks like the guidebook for the first-time traveler. And then this is a conclusion that I developed the body of knowledges, which called CBOG, is consolidating the entire approaches of the capability building. It looks like this. The left-hand side is more on the management framework, which is also important to set up the capability. And then among such the management system, you need to have the cybercrime investigation execution framework, which is shown in red rectangle. And then capability or the capacity can be built from such a management framework plus execution framework, and then plus training and practices. And a lot of practice is really needed. You need to have a lot of training to investigate from the piece of the data to the whole picture. This requires the skill to come up with the hypothesis, what is really happened, and then you need to know where to look into to validate my hypothesis true or not. And then this body of knowledge starts with the type of crime and artifact, scope, source of evidence, and then how to analyze the evidence, and then go into the final resolution. But my last comment is really, we need to make sure that you need to exchange the information. As I mentioned in the earlier findings, like artifact can be also found from the other victims, or sometimes the info sharing communities, such as Isaacs, or maybe I think in Ukraine also there must be info share community. So it is still not yet evidence, but to come up with evidence that that can be valid in the prosecution, you have to exchange and then confirm what is this, not just by findings inside your network. That's an important point, and then this is shown in chapter 9. And then my last comment is having such a framework of the capability building really helps. And then please do not too much spend on the technical skill, but more on management, especially how to build up certain information to information, and not just the malware or the forensic or whatever, but the result from the malware analysis or result from the forensic analysis, network analysis, hypothesis, to build up the hypothesis is the most important skill set. And then this cannot be done by cannot be achieved by just a technical training, but you need to do a lot of practices. So structures, approaches is really needed. And then I hope that today and then tomorrow's event can be a good venue for your information exchanges, and then to make your capability much better. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shimizu. There was a great dive into the characteristic of cybercrime, and I see that people are here, participants are taking notes, and we will not miss the opportunity to ask you some questions if you may answer them. So please, we have a microphone in the hall, and please raise your questions, raise your arm, and we will ask Mr. Shimizu questions you have. No questions? Everything's clear? All right, I see you are ready for the coffee break. So, Mr. Shimizu, thank you very much. Your knowledge is deeply appreciated. We thank you, and that's goodbye for you, and we will continue. So, ladies and gentlemen, please, let's take a small coffee break, and then we continue.
Thank you. Bye-bye.